Hi, this is Reverend Ken Wilcox for the Center for Spiritual Living, St. Augustine. I want to come to you today to share with you the talk, to live stream, but also to give you some updates on what we're doing here at the center, how we are planning to overcome this great challenge. And overcome it, we will. The board and I decided on Thursday that we needed to close down the center, so we won't be having any meetings here or any classes. We are planning to organize those virtually. Even we're helping the recovery groups have their meetings virtually. So our board is stepping up, and we need you to do so as well. Your support and your prayers are critical during this time. If you'd like, you can text your support to us. That number is 904-447-1171. Of course, you can still mail your check to us. Our mailing address is CSL St. Augustine, 1795 Old Moultrie Road, 32086. We're grateful for all your support. It's needed. It's necessary. Together, we're going to overcome this challenge. So my talk today is your divine power. And I want to come to you and just remind you that we do have divine power flowing through us. We're not weak. We're not wounded. We're not victims. We're overcomers. We have the power and creativity of God flowing through us, and together with God, we can overcome any challenge that Spirit sends our way or life sends our way. We're here to achieve and not to be defeated. So once we remind ourselves of our power, we're in the game, and we can succeed. During the next couple of weeks as we go through this challenge, I'm going to be using more of my intuition to share with you where I think we are and why this challenge has presented itself to us. So I just wanted to let you know these talks are going to be more personal. Dr. Holmes said that through our intuition we can contact the wisdom of the universe. And so that's my hope, is that I will be sharing some greater wisdom with you in the coming weeks, because we are facing a serious challenge. This is not a hoax. It's not fake. This is a grave challenge. I think back on my teacher, Kennedy Schultz. He had a church of over 700 people. They met at Symphony Hall in Atlanta, Georgia. There were so many people that were meeting there at his centers, particularly during the AIDS epidemic, that the fire marshal would come in and force people out. And the reason so many people were coming to that center is because there were no other churches in Atlanta that were going to welcome people who had AIDS. But the Center for Spiritual Living threw open those doors. And I recall sermons that he gave where he was literally pounding on the podium, and he was telling that congregation and that community that they were going to have to step up and take care of their own, that no one was coming to help them. And he was telling them that through Spirit's help, that they were going to overcome that challenge. He reminded them of Winston Churchill, who said that every generation has a challenge. And he was saying, this is our challenge to step up. Well, I believe that this virus is our challenge to step up. And I know we're capable of stepping up and making a difference. You know, I think that one of the reasons why this virus has showed up in our world, and in our nation particularly, is we've gotten off the track. We've allowed society to become too interested and too focused on wealth and greed and money. And we need to remind ourselves to look after the common good. I was very discouraged to hear a story this week about one of the senators from Georgia. She and her husband have a wealth of over $500 million. And she was getting reports in from the intelligence sources of the federal government that our tax dollars pay for. And she was using that information to sell her stock, but yet she was not sharing that information with the parents and the teachers and the doctors of Georgia so that they could prepare for this oncoming virus. And I don't want to make her into a villain. I don't want to respond to her out of anger. But I would like to share with her, dear one, what makes you think that saving $1 million or gaining $1 million was going to make you feel better than looking after the common interests of the voters who put faith in you and sent you to that high office? What makes you think that the money was going to make you feel better than by following that God-inspired idea that we need to look after one another? In our nation, we've made a God out of power and money and fame. And we need to get back to an idea that we can look after one another. This is how that we know how valued we are. That we're all one. We're all God's children. We're all deserving of a good life and kindness and compassion. So I think this is what this virus is doing. It's calling us back to the truth of ourselves. Life has changed, and it's not going to change back. This is a new normal, and we're going to have to go forward and do things differently. Life is forever evolving, and we must evolve with it. We have the power and creativity of the universe flowing through us. We've not come to life to be a potted plant. We've not come here to be cowered in a corner. We're here to know something better about ourselves, about life, and about God. The things that we've been told about God are not true. It's not true that God has sent this virus to us to punish us. It's not true that we don't have the power and creativity to overcome it. It's time for us to step up and to know something better for ourselves. But we have to do the knowing. You can have one of the most powerful computers in the world, but if you don't plug it into the electricity, the computer is nothing more than a doorstop. Too many of us have allowed our lives to become doorstops. But it's time for us to plug in, to turn on to the power of God flowing through us. There's one power, one intelligence, one life back of all creation. It's forever evolving. And our job is to be giving it newer and greater forms of how to flow into our lives, how to evolve in our lives, to work with what we have right in front of us and to do the best with it. So I have to marshal up the resources, and I have to move past my fear and my doubts and my worry. Am I good enough? Am I up to the task? Do I have the energy? God is not done with you yet, and God isn't done with me. Spirit is calling us forth to step up to our most powerful self, our true self, the glorious part of our souls. And now is the time for us to do it, to do our prayer work in a bold and dynamic way. Divine love opens my heart and my mind to an understanding so that Spirit can move forth in a new understanding for me so that I can step into my wholeness. Spirit infuses my affairs with new ideas and insights and thoughts. So I can look at this virus and say that I'm not be afraid of it. Not to deny it, but not to be cowed by it. And say, God and I have work to do. This community has work to do. We may evolve into a different incarnation. We may be getting our word out in a different way. It may look differently. But no matter how hard the storm blows, we're going to raise up a light of hope and inspiration for the world to see and for the world to be attracted by. A better knowing. We're going to offer up the healing and comfort of affirmative prayer. I was hearing one of my relatives post on Facebook the other day that this virus is a punishment from God. I didn't argue with her because there's no need to argue. But that's not a God worthy of my faith. And it's not the God of my understanding. I know that God didn't send this virus to punish us. I know that God sent the intelligence that we have in our hearts and in our souls to overcome it. I know that Spirit sent the humanity and compassion necessary that we can bring about a healing. So when I listen to the news, I look for intelligence and creativity that I can attach to. And then I do my prayer work for that intelligence and that creativity to expand and grow. You know, I've shared with you many times that we need to do prayers for our leaders. And I've said that you should be able to do prayer work for Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump. That if you can't do prayer work for both of them, you're not in the right place. And if you can't, then turn that over to Spirit. Say, Spirit, I may not be able to see this, but you're going to have to see it for me. And then you do your good with what's right in front of you to do. You've got a common good to work on. You do your prayer work for yourself, your family, your friends, your community. And most importantly, do the prayer work for the doctors and the nurses and all the health workers who are putting their lives on the line so that they can help people who have been struck by this virus. And do prayer works for their safety and their family's safety. This is the example of Christ these people are showing right in front of our eyes, that they're willing to step up and offer their lives so that other people might be healed. See a cone of safety around them, and see a cone of safety around yourself and your family. Your prayer work for our community, and I need your prayers going forward. Pray for me to have a greater wisdom and strength and energy so that we can marshal this community and we can continue to step up. Our reason for being here at this time, at this moment, is so that we can know how valued and important we are to Spirit. So we can have a deeper relationship with Spirit. So that we can live from our highest calling. No desire you have for a healing is so great that Spirit can't easily accomplish it. That power which set the rings of Saturn into motion can easily overcome this virus. And it wants to do so to prove to you how loved you are, how valued you are, how necessary you are to the unfoldment of all of creation. You've got the power of God running through you. It's time for us to step up to that creativity, to get over our fears and doubts, to step up and step out and be the miracle God has called you to be. This is the truth in your life today. It's the truth in mine, and so it is. So, dear friends, I want to leave you with one final thought. Your life is not a problem to be solved. It's a miracle unfolding. Your job this week is to name your miracle, proclaim your miracle, and to make it your own. God bless all. Hope to see you soon. This is what I know. There's one God, one mind, one power, one life force. And this life force is perfect intelligence. And it has created me. It is flowing through me. It has not given up on me. And it is calling me to a higher knowing for myself. And this morning I know myself as perfect, whole, and complete. I see myself healthy. I see my family and friends as healthy and protected. I see this community growing and thriving and stepping up to a greater knowing for itself. Here today in this sacred power, I now proclaim and decree a cone of safety for all the health workers, every doctor, every nurse, every orderly, even every cafeteria worker, anybody who's stepping up and helping people in illness. I see them protected. I see them as secure, their family and their friends. I also see our nation, the leaders of our nation, stepping up to know something better. I know there is a perfect solution for this virus, and I know people are on the cutting edge to make that happen. And I know we're going through this experience, not so that we can feel wounded or weak or victims. I know we're here to step up and step out and to answer the call that Spirit has asked us, that we are children of the Most High, that we are the beloved, that we are here to allow the bright light of God's possibility to shine through us, for us, and with us. It's what we're here to do, and God is calling us on. It's the truth in my life today. I celebrate it, I rejoice in it, and I release this prayer into the mind of God to do its good and perfect, bold and dynamic work, returning to me multiplied abundantly. And together we say, and so it is.